Football is full of fallen giants. Clubs that have lit up European nights, produced some absolutely world-class players, lifting major trophies all around the world, only for it to come crashing down into miles of debt, utter chaos behind the scenes, and in some cases even bankruptcy. But today on this video I'm going to give you my top 5 picks for Football Manager 2026, which is released on the 4th of November, on the clubs that I think you guys should rebuild and probably get the most out of the game when it does eventually come out. So come on then, let's go and have a look. And as you can see, my first pick is FC Kaiserslautern in the Bundesliga, or should I be more specific? The not the dry Bundesliga, the Zwei Bundesliga, the second Bundesliga. And they have been stuck there for quite a while. If we go and have a quick look at their club info and we have a quick look at their club history, they do have a fair bit of history about them. They have 4 Bundesliga titles, albeit the last one that they won was 1998. So as you can see, it's been a while since they've won anything. They've won a couple of Pokals, last one in 1996, and then a couple of Bundesliga 2 titles. The last one was 2010. And then I think it was pretty much the season after that. No, they did get relegated down to the 3rd Liga and then managed to get back up to the 2nd League. But yeah, 2010 they got promoted, and then immediately the season after they got relegated, and just carrying on plummeting down the leagues and have never recovered since. But they are a club that has got a lot of history. Their stadium is named after a World Cup winner, which I have only just learnt myself. Financially wise, everybody knows the German football has a lot of money when you get into that Bundesliga and you get into the top tier of that, when you compete with the likes of Leipzig, Dortmund, Munich, all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, 8 million in the bank, a small transfer budget. I do have the up-to-date 2025 transfer database on this, but I'm not entirely sure whether it's completely updated, so the figures may be a little bit skew-if. Squad-wise, you do have a huge squad, and I can't see it changing too much from this going into the new game. And I think the potential is there. They do have a massive squad. They've got some decent money backing them. And also, the stadium, if we go on to that, is one of the biggest stadiums in the country, and it's also one of the biggest stadiums in the lower leagues. Almost a 50,000 capacity. It was rebuilt in 2004 for the 2006 World Cup, so it's still reasonably modern. And it does have an expansion capacity up to nearly 62,000. So if you get this team into the top league and start doing well in Europe, there is every chance you could get a full stadium expansion to 62,000. So that is my first pick. That is my number 1, FC Kaiserslautern. So let's go and have a look at my number 2. I really do have to come up with a better phrase than saying, come and have a look at my number 2, don't I? But anyway, I digress. So my second pick is FC Sochaux in France. Now this club I don't know too much about, but when you have a look at the club info and the stadium that they got a 20,000 seater stadium, but it's the history that they've got. They've actually won Ligue 1 a couple of times, albeit not since 1938. So we are pushing on what that is, nearly 90 years since they've won a top flight title. They've won the French Cup a couple of times. Actually, more recently in 2007 they won it. And just a couple other smaller titles. They've never won a European title. Financially, they have a reasonably decent balance. They got 12.5 million in the bank, a small transfer budget. The squad itself is perfectly suited for the French National League, which is the league that they are in. If we have a look at the French National, we have quite a few teams in here. Versailles, Ajaccio are in there as well. Caen, Orléans. So they are reasonably far down, and the French National League is ranked at 71 in Europe on this game. Dijon are another team that are in there that I've just noticed. But the main thing with Sochaux is that, going off my research here, and I'm going to have a quick look at this now. So Sochaux were founded by Peugeot, believe it or not, making them one of the oldest professional clubs in all of France. As I say, they've won the French League twice, albeit not for nearly 90 years, and they did recently, 2007, win the French Cup. But they also are known for, if we have a look at their facilities. Their facilities, they have a reputation of 3-star, but their training facilities and youth facilities are excellent. And this is where you can get some really, really good players. Especially when you look at the likes of Jeremy Menez has been produced from there, and I'm loath to mention this guy's name, but El Hadj Diouf. even though I can't stand him as a player and as a man. He was produced from that academy as well. So they are not out of the realms of the possibility of producing some real good stars through your youth system, which in your rebuild will help the club move further up the leagues, because it will save you money in the long run using some of your youth players, and also making money in the long run as well by selling them. So it's a win-win, I think, for everybody else. Moving Sochaux up from the 3rd tier to Ligue 1 and dislodging PSG, now that is a challenge I think that anybody would like to try and take on. So Sochaux being my 2nd pick, let's go and have a look at my number 3 pick. And for my number 3 pick, that is going to be the Spanish side, Malaga. Now, Malaga is... I haven't actually looked into the story until now about Malaga, but going from Champions League down to the 3rd tier of Spain, massive amount of debts, and also a former owner actually potentially looking at 15 years in prison for club mismanagement. This side is primed and ready to go for a massive rebuild to try and dominate in Spain. Excuse me. To try and dominate in Spain again. As you can see, we are in the Spanish 2nd division at this point in time. They did get relegated down, so if we have a look at the club info and have a look at their history, they did drop down here. They were 20th, they went down to the Spanish 3rd division, and they've managed to get back up into the 2nd division as of the transfer database update. And they've had some absolutely massive icons: Manuel Pellegrini, Isco, Wellington. Also, I'm a look at some of the other players. Julio Baptista was there as well. Ignacio Camacho. Some great names. Willy Caballero, Roque Santa Cruz, Joaquin. They've had some amazing players come through. But it's financially which has really, really hit them. And when you will start, or when you do start on FM26, your save game, you probably won't have a lot of money. But you will have a reasonably stacked out squad. So you stand a good chance of starting off reasonably well and possibly getting even a 1st season promotion. But the lack of money in the Spanish league, unless you're one of the big 2 or 3, is really going to hurt you. So you're going to have to be a little bit wily about who you sign, how you spend your money, all in the meantime whilst dealing with a new game mechanic as well. So this could make things very, very interesting. The last time they actually won something, let's go and have a look at their history quickly. The last time they actually won something was the Spanish 2nd division in 1999. They've never won they have never won a La Liga title. They've never won a European title or a domestic cup. So there's many challenges that you can have with Malaga, and I think you could have a very, very positive experience with them and fulfilling save game with this team. But there are still 2 more picks to go, so let's go and have a quick look at number 4. And for number 4, I've picked a London club that I think gets overlooked a hell of a lot, actually, and that is Charlton Athletic. Now, for me, being the age that I am, I remember very well back in the late 90s and early noughties, Charlton Athletic were actually a side to be reckoned with. Under the management of Alan Kirbishley, they were a pretty good team. But, unfortunately, a relegation really, really screwed with their finances, and they just kept on dropping down, and they are now in League 1. Not doing too badly for the start of this season, but they are definitely a team that has a lot of history and a lot of hope going forward. I think they're going in the right direction. If we have a look at them financially, they don't have an awful lot of money. They could do with some investment. Only $1.5 million in the bank, a very, very small transfer budget. But if you look at the history, they have won Sky Bet Championship in 2000. They won the League 1 title in 2012 and then got relegated down. After being in the Championship, got relegated back down again. And they have won FA Cup, equal to Crystal Palace. Admittedly, they won it in 1947. But if you have a look at some of the legends and their icons that they've had, some names do stand out. Darren Bent, Chris Powell is another. Clive Mendonca is a name for the past. Alan Kirbishley being probably their most famous manager. Also favoured personnel, Lee Bowyer, who is randomly on this game now the manager of Montserrat, which is kind of strange. But he was a very, very good player. I remember he went from Charlton up to Leeds at the time in, what was it, the late 90s, I think it was. So they do have a lot going for them. But again, the challenge of this is to take this club and build them into Premier League champions, European champions. This could take a little while with the lack of money that they do have and the squad size actually does help, but you can see they've got a lot of loan players out. They've had to loan a few players in. So they have a really large squad and some very, very talented players that they're going to start off with in FM26. The likes of Rob Apter, Tyrese Campbell, also Joe Rankin Costello is a good player at this level as well. Thomas Kaminski as the goalkeeper, who went from Luton to Charlton, which is quite a surprise. But again, another goalkeeper that is very, very good for the League One level. So I think it is possible to take Charlton from League One up to the Championship pretty much in your first season. But then you got to build on from there, and that is the challenge. And let's go and have a look at my fifth and final pick. And for my fifth and final pick, it is the pink team of Italy, Palermo. Now, Palermo I have picked for I'd say nostalgic reason more than anything else. Palermo are currently sitting in, let's have a look at the league table, the Italian Serie B, and they've been yo-yoing a little bit, stuck in and around. If you have a look at their club history, back in the early 2000s, they were dominant. Not dominant, they were in the Serie B. They got up to the Serie A, stayed there for a long time, then got relegated, bounced back up, and then got relegated, and then went nearly all the way down to Serie D, which is really bad, really, really bad. But when you think about some of the players that Palermo have had, let's have a quick look, and just rolling out some of these names. Paulo Dybala, Luca Toni, Edison Cavani is there, Josip Ilicic, Silvio Baldini. Some of these players have been absolutely monumental for Palermo, and also for Italy and their other representative countries. They're some of the players that kept Serie A on the map, without a doubt. But they have struggled in, I'd say, more recent history, as you can see from the league form, hovering around Serie B and Serie C. They've not been up in Serie A since the 2016-2017 season. Financially, they've got about $4.5 million in the bank, $2.5 million on the transfer budget side of things, which isn't too bad. But again, if you look at the history, they've never won a Serie A, they've never won a Coppa Italia, and they've never won a European trophy. So again, for me, it's kind of like a prime pick of taking an Italian side all the way to the top. And let's face it, the kits are cool, the badges are cool, they're a little bit out there, they're a little bit pink, but I still think they look alright, to be fair. And if you have a look at the squad that you could end up starting off with on FM26, again, it is absolutely stacked out with players. A lot of players out on loan, which obviously you can move them off. But you do have a very, very good squad here. Some very, very talented players in the squad, and especially young ones, especially the likes of Mavondo, Troy Mavondo here. If we have a quick look at him, 17-year-old Frenchman who was a 5-star potential ability. Now, whether that'll carry over into FM26, I do not know. But I should imagine that some of these players are making you look at it and go, not a bad team to go and pick. Not a bad team to go and pick at all. So there we have it, folks. That is my 5 teams to manage and rebuild as a fallen giant and take them right back to the top to win the leagues, win the European trophies. Let me know what you think about the list in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you go and check out my channel as well, Tifo FM. I'll leave a link thing on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Ta-ra.